Am I creepy? This is a spiritual continuation of my creepiness as a curiosity gap video. And for context, some recent events where I was wondering whether I'd been creepy or not prompted me to think about that, and because I had already made this video of creepiness as a curiosity gap, I just shared it with the person who I had creeped on, potentially, and to get their thoughts on whether this framework holds and stuff like that. And we had an interesting conversation, in my opinion, and luckily I think we agreed that in this case I hadn't been creepy. It could be considered that my actions were not overall creepy, which I'll take it, but I still kept thinking about it, and as I made a thread about it, well, not about that just exactly, but in general, about introspecting and thinking about it, because I felt that there was something unsatisfactory to that conclusion, right? I still had some kind of inkling of creepiness in my mind. And then on the TL, I came across this tweet which has this situation where some guy just kind of random somehow gets the number of some woman or something like that from their job or mutual connections. I don't get it, but yeah, basically he gets the number instead of like DMing on Twitter, and like uses that shortcut. And yeah, she responds with this: "Sorry, but I'm going to block you. My phone number is reserved only for those who personally interested with it." Blah blah blah. And then she says, "This is a massive violation of my boundaries." Makes sense. "I'm sure you're not a bad guy, but please never do this to any woman ever again." Which, yeah, in my opinion, it's a pretty fair response, right? It's like you don't get someone's number without their permission, then text them, especially if it's like, I think in any situation, but especially for like, just like, how is it going, like trying to flirt, it's probably not the best idea, right? And I didn't cross any lines like that, by the way, but the thing that reminded me of me was more than the situation, some replies that were here. So for example, this girl, I assume, got this DM that was like, "I'm trying to figure out how not to say this and not to sound like a creep, but basically I stalked your dad and found out where he lives, and I feel shame because I was not in a good mind space. I feel like I violated your privacy, blah blah blah." So this kind of apologetic tone type of thing. And I also didn't cyberstalk someone's dad and get like their address and know where they live. That didn't happen, but this, like, the vibe of this was like relatable. Basically I realized that this kind of shame of having been creepy was pretty relatable. And I think that the key thing here is, I don't know the context I asked, I think, but I didn't get a response yet. But from this post, for example, or this other post, like I contacted you via email, and it's some guy basically with a whole relationship in his head with this woman, and basically falling for her and stuff like that. And what I was thinking of this is that I agree in the sense that there is some kind of self-awareness that there is some violation of privacy going on there, right? And it's like, then the next points are like, why would you freak out someone over it? Why would you tell them you did this, right? So it's like, there is self-awareness that you are being creepy. Why do you tell it? And my theory and stuff like that is that the mental state behind the person is like it's the act that's perceived the most creepy about this, right? It's not cyber stalking the dad, which is like this big red flag. This probably will I'll elaborate more on this, and they probably won't agree that I'm not going to quote tweet this in my thread where I upload the video, by the way, because of this. But yeah, my theory is this, is that it's not the actual actions which are wrong, but the mindset behind those actions, as we can see here in these replies. And yeah, finding a woman's that address when you're in a bad place mentally sounds dangerous, right? It's like, this guy knows where I live and it's fucking dangerous. Of course, that's bad. And it's like, yes. But I think that more than he knows where he lives, the dangerous thing is that this guy is in a bad place mentally, right? This is kind of the thing. And I related because I'm kind of like, I'm also like this, right? I'm not finding out people's addresses and shit like that, or sending bomb packages or whatever someone could do with someone's address. Yeah, but I do feel like that. I do get caught up in these situations where these kind of feelings are the feelings that are happening, right? So, for example, basically, I get into these parasocial relationships with people. Why? And it's like, maybe parasocial isn't like the best word, and in some of these cases it's just a one-way relationship, but I think parasocial is a good word, because in this case it's very difficult to know, but in this case, for example, it's much more kind of obvious that this is a parasocial relationship. Like, this guy has seen this other person's online image and has made up some kind of made up person or idol, or so has put someone on a pedestal so highly that and then made up a whole fucking movie in his head, and that's what has happened, right? And then it turns out that because of they get in this bad place mentally, they have to type out some long fucking ass message, and then they have to send it to somehow they send it to the girl, whatever, right? And this is something that I relate to because I'm like that. I don't do it to this extreme, and I usually just hold it back and bury the feelings and fuck off. And eventually it passes. But I am like this, right? And I was thinking about kind of why am I like this? And I read the Wikipedia article about limerence, and there was an interesting part here, which is basically, limerence can be difficult to understand for those who have never experienced, and it is thus often dismissed by non-limerents as ridiculous fantasy or a construct of romantic fiction, right? So it's like, I think this motherfucker is just in love or in limerence with this person, with this object of desire that has been created in his mind. Like, his feelings are real, right? He's actually feeling for her, just that he doesn't actually know her in any way. It's just some kind of idea that he has made up because of this social profile of hers. And basically that's kind of my main point, right? That these replies seem to imply that, oh my god, this guy crossed so many lines or whatever. And true, but I wanted to get to like the heart of it. What's actually going on, right? I don't have any solutions. I don't know. If you're a guy who gets limerenced, what the fuck can you do? But I'm like basically 75% confident that all of these people, this girl and this other girl, when they're with the girlies and when they are having a little crush and they are checking out his Instagram and checking out his Twitter, and then they go to the likes and they say, oh, is he liking other girls' posts? Oh, is he liking whatever? Oh, who does he follow? Does he follow this artist? Can I maybe put on this song on my story? So these kind of games. When these things are happening, it's like the mindset behind that is like, fun with the girlies, or being subtle and romantic and mysterious, right? So the mind space behind that is kind of playful and fun, so the creepiness act doesn't register, right? So for example, this guy probably wasn't like actively looking for this woman's address or whatever, right? I don't know, to me it's obvious that this didn't happen, and if it did happen that way, then I have misread the situation, which is possible. But yeah, to me, it's basically this guy just jumped to the result without speaking about the process, right? Which is something I also do as well, because when you cross that line and you get to that point, it's like when shit hits you, it's like, fuck, I have just... And if you relate it and you see the end of the story, you see that the story ends with, I cyberstalked your dad and found out where he lives. And this sounds fucking insane, right? But the process was probably that this guy was probably just like scrolling through this girl's profile, found something, then he found a LinkedIn post or whatever, or some kind of company name, or some picture of the desk at the company, and then you Google the company, and in the company you see the thing, and then you see some kind of name, and the name has the last name has two people with the last name, and then it turns out that someone is the dad, or something like that. You get to Facebook, and in the Facebook relatives, the dad is there, and you Google the first relative, the second relative, the third relative, and then some relative is going to have less operational security, and their address will be on internet. It's like, this shit to me is so obvious that the informational security thing is so obvious that to me it doesn't even register that people are like freaked out about it. And I know that they aren't. I know that they are freaked out because of like the implications of the guy being dangerous, right? It's like they don't give a fuck about doing it, right? They give a fuck about them freaking them out about it, right? That's like the main concern, that they freaked the person out. Yeah, that was my reflection on whether I'm creepy or not. Yeah, I have some kind of... I ended this with, doesn't have this dangerous bad mental place self-hate undertones, right? This kind of... I think that self-hate and being in a bad mental place is like basically the root of this, right? It's like you don't send the message in the first place being super apologetic and super concerned with your own creepiness, I guess, if you're in a healthy state of mind regarding your own social skill set, I guess, right? Maybe I'm outing a bit, I'm outing myself a bit here, but this is like the obvious thing, right? The non-obvious thing, I guess. Like the obvious thing is that looking at someone's cyberstalking someone's dad is bad. I think that's pretty obvious, but the kind of background thing is that cyberstalking someone that is so fucking easy compared to actually talking to a woman, right? That's the crux of the issue, right? Talking to a woman is so fucking difficult compared to cyberstalking 7 family members because Facebook just displays a lot of information, right? Or because, as I talked in my other video, every state, every country, everything has like records of your name and your surname and stuff like that. You can find someone's surname and name very easily because they will post it, and because people usually post with their names and stuff like that. It's so fucking easy, right? And talking, in the other hand, is so fucking difficult. That's the crux of the issue, I think. And that's what I wanted to... maybe it's just a bad mental place thing. Maybe it's a gender thing. Maybe talking for women is super easy. Maybe not, I don't know. Maybe talking for people with good social skills regardless of gender, maybe the social skills are somewhat correlated with gender, but not totally. So there are people in many different possibilities of the 2x2 matrix, right? There are people who can talk with people who are women, and there are a lot of those. And there are less people who can't talk and are women, and there are a lot of people, or there... I don't know what's the ratios or whatever, but I think that this is like the background thing going on in this thread, right? And I'm going to end it. This was a video of my 100 video series, and bye.